Welcome to Free You. Today, we begin a gentle exploration of Prajñā, the wisdom of clear seeing, and how it can guide us in raising our children. Parenting is often filled with love, but also with struggle. Have you ever spoken to your child in anger, only to feel regret afterward? Have you ever felt powerless, not knowing if your choices were truly helping your child grow? You are not alone. Every parent walks this path of uncertainty. We all wish to guide our children wisely, yet the noise of the world and the weight of our own fears often cloud our hearts. Prajñā is not a set of rules or techniques. It is not another parenting formula. It is a light, a clarity of vision that allows us to see beyond fear, beyond judgment, and beyond expectation. When we see with Prajñā, something changes. Each moment with our child becomes new. Each mistake becomes a lesson, not a failure. Each challenge becomes an invitation to awaken together. This wisdom reminds us, parenting is not about being perfect. It is about being present, not about shaping our children into who we think they should be, but learning to meet them as they are, here and now. Before we talk about applying Prajñā to parenting, we must ask, what is Prajñā? Many people think of intelligence when they hear the word wisdom. Intelligence means analyzing, memorizing, calculating, solving problems quickly. These are useful skills, but Prajñā is something different. Prajñā is not about adding more knowledge. It is about seeing directly, with clarity. It is a way of perceiving reality without distortion. Where ordinary thinking gets lost in concepts, good and bad, success and failure, Prajñā looks deeper. It sees things as they truly are. At its core, Prajñā reveals three simple but profound truths. First, impermanence. Everything is always changing. A child who seems stubborn today may become gentle tomorrow. A child who struggles with grades now is not doomed to fail forever. When we see impermanence, we become more patient with mistakes and less attached to successes. Second, non-self. No child has a fixed identity. Their behavior is shaped by many conditions: family, school, friends, and environment. When a child shows anger, it is not their permanent nature, but a passing reaction. This frees us from labeling them as bad or good. Third, interdependence. Nothing arises alone. A child's growth depends on countless factors: guidance, rest, encouragement, community. Even their joy is nourished by the people around them. Seeing this, we understand that parenting is not about control, but about creating supportive conditions for growth. When we see with Prajñā, we stop clinging to rigid images. My child must always be successful, or my child is lazy, so they will never change. We realize these are just temporary appearances. Prajñā does not deny difficulties. Parenting is full of them. Your child may resist, get lost in screens, or act out in anger. You yourself may feel tired, impatient, or worried about their future. These struggles are real, but Prajñā allows us to meet them without fear. Instead of reacting with panic or frustration, we pause. We breathe. We look deeper. A child who plays games all day is not ruined. They may be seeking connection or escape from pressure. A child who lies is not permanently dishonest. They may simply fear punishment or long for approval. What seems solid and permanent, a stubborn habit, a painful conflict, is never fixed. It is flowing, alive, and transformable. Prajñā helps us see the possibility of change. With this clarity, we guide our children not with despair, but with patience, compassion, and trust in their capacity to grow. In parenting, this shift changes everything. Without prajna, we often see our children through the lens of fear, comparison, or past habits. We project our own expectations. You must be like this. You must not be like that. But these are only mental filters, not reality. With prajna, we learn to look at our children freshly, moment by moment. Not as the child who always argues, or the child who never studies, but as a living being, full of potential, unfolding in their own time. This is the heart of prajna, meeting life as it is, without judgment or clinging. From this clear seeing, love becomes more spacious, guidance becomes more compassionate, and parenting transforms from a struggle of control into a practice of presence. Many parents, even with the best intentions, often teach from fear. Fear that their child will fall behind, fear of being judged by relatives or society, fear that if the child makes a mistake today, their entire future will collapse tomorrow. This fear is understandable. It comes from love mixed with anxiety. But fear narrows our vision. It blinds us to the present moment and pushes us to act in ways that wound rather than guide. Under its weight, we begin to pressure our children with constant comparisons. Look at your cousin. Look at your classmate. We impose harsh punishments or endless lectures, believing this will protect them. Yet fear cannot nurture wisdom. It only creates more fear inside the child. And when a child feels constantly judged, they start to see themselves through the same harsh lens. They begin to believe, I am not enough. I will never measure up. This belief can shape their self-image for years. Prajñā invites us to pause, to see more clearly. Our child is not a trophy to display, nor a project to perfect. They are a living being, unfolding in their own rhythm, walking a path uniquely theirs. When we see this truth, fear begins to loosen, and love, real, spacious, patient love, can finally breathe again. Imagine this. Your child comes home with a low grade. Immediately, fear begins to whisper in your ear. They are falling behind. They will never succeed. This is the beginning of failure. And with that fear, anger rises. It is natural. Every parent wants the best for their child. But fear narrows our vision. It makes us see only the danger, not the deeper reality. With prajñā, we pause. We take a breath. We look deeper. A low grade does not mean a low future. It may simply mean the child was tired that day, distracted by something at school, or carrying emotions they did not know how to express. Perhaps they need encouragement, guidance, or rest, not punishment. The grade is not a permanent label. It is only a moment in time, a sign pointing to what needs more support. When we respond with prajñā, everything shifts. Instead of shouting, we listen. Instead of judging, we guide. Instead of planting fear, we plant trust. And when a child feels seen in this way, something beautiful happens. They are not crushed by mistakes. They learn resilience. They discover that failure is not the end. It is a stepping stone, a chance to rise again. In this space of compassion and clarity, both parent and child grow wiser together. We are raising children in a time unlike any before. Screens, games, and social media are everywhere. From the moment they can hold a device, children are drawn in by bright colors, quick rewards, and endless scrolling. Technology surrounds them at school, at home, and even in their friendships. It is woven into daily life in a way that past generations never knew. As parents, it is natural to worry. Some respond by forbidding technology completely, hoping to protect their child. Others allow almost unlimited use, feeling powerless to set boundaries. Neither extreme brings balance. Too much restriction leads to rebellion and secrecy. Too much freedom leads to isolation and addiction. Here is where Prajñā offers a different path. It helps us see more clearly. Technology itself is not the enemy. It is not good or bad. It is simply a tool. What truly matters is how it is used, and the state of mind with which it is approached. Instead of acting out of fear, Prajñā invites us to guide with presence, to sit with our child, to ask, what do you enjoy in this game? What do you find in this online space? In that listening, doors of understanding open and guidance becomes possible. With Prajñā, we shift from control to guidance. The question is no longer, how do I stop my child from using technology, but rather, how can this tool support growth instead of replacing it? For example, instead of judging with frustration, you are wasting time on your phone. We might sit down together and ask with curiosity, what do you enjoy in this game? What do you learn from it? Very often, screens are not the real problem. They are a doorway the child uses to escape from stress, loneliness, or pressure. When we see this, we can respond to the deeper need, offering comfort, encouragement, or simply presence, rather than only attacking the surface behavior. Boundaries are still essential, but Prajñā reminds us they should come from wisdom, not fear. A boundary that is forced with anger feels like control, and children resist. But a boundary set with clarity and consistency feels like care. When parents explain calmly, we turn off devices at this time so we can rest and be together, the child feels respected, not oppressed. In this way, technology becomes a bridge instead of a wall. It becomes a chance to teach mindfulness, using the phone with awareness, using the computer for learning, creating moments of silence between activities. This is Prajñā in the digital age, not rejecting, not clinging, but guiding with compassion and clarity. In the earliest years of life, children learn less from words and far more from energy. They are like soft clay, sensitive to every touch, every tone of voice, every expression on the parent's face. A single glance of warmth can fill them with safety. A single look of anger can shake their tiny world. If a parent is calm, the child naturally feels secure. If a parent is anxious or distracted, the child quickly mirrors that energy in their own body and mind. Prajñā in this stage means practicing presence. Instead of worrying about teaching endless lessons or forcing early achievement, we focus on the quality of our being. To play with a child with full attention, to hold them with tenderness, to look into their eyes with patience. These are not small acts. They are powerful transmissions of wisdom, shaping the foundation of the child's inner world. When difficulties arise, crying, tantrums, or resistance, we see clearly that these are not signs of bad behavior. They are unspoken messages, expressions of needs the child cannot yet name. Perhaps they are tired, hungry, overstimulated, or simply longing for closeness. With prajñā, we respond not with harshness, but with understanding. In our steadiness, the child discovers trust. In our calm, they find safety. And in our loving presence, they learn what it means to be truly loved. As children enter their school years, their personalities and habits begin to show more clearly. They start comparing themselves with others, competing for attention, and seeking approval from teachers and friends. Parents often begin to worry. Will my child keep up academically? Will they fit in socially? Will they develop the right character? These worries, if not guided by wisdom, can quickly become pressure. Prajñā reminds us that our child is not fixed. Who they appear to be today is not who they will always be. A child who struggles with reading in 3rd grade may, with the right encouragement, discover a gift for storytelling in later years. A child who seems restless now may, in time, channel that energy into creativity, sports, or curiosity about the world. This clear seeing guides us away from rigid labels such as lazy, smart, or difficult. Labels may feel accurate in the moment, but they limit the child's unfolding potential. Instead, we recognize each behavior as temporary, always capable of change. With prajñā, we listen when our child shares their daily stories from school. We respond with patience when mistakes happen, reminding them that mistakes are not destiny, but stepping stones for growth. In this way, children learn resilience. They begin to trust that who they are today does not define who they can become tomorrow. The teenage years are often the most challenging for both parents and children. This is the time when young people are searching for identity, testing boundaries, and asserting independence. For parents, these changes can feel like rebellion, disobedience, or even rejection. Fear easily arises. What if I lose control? What if my child goes down the wrong path? What if I fail as a parent? But prajñā invites us to look deeper. Behind the defiance, there is often fear or insecurity. Behind the loud voice, there is a longing to be seen and respected as capable. Teenagers are not bad when they push away. They are simply learning how to become themselves. With prajñā, we loosen our grip on control, but strengthen our presence. Instead of clinging to authority, we become a safe anchor. We allow our teenagers to try, to make choices, even to stumble. And when they fall, we remain nearby, ready to guide, but not to dominate. Boundaries are still important, but prajñā teaches us to root them in respect. A rule explained calmly. We need to set this limit because it keeps you safe, carries more weight than a command shouted in anger. When teenagers feel trusted, they are far more likely to return to their parents in moments of doubt or crisis. In this way, conflict softens, conversations open, and both parent and teenager walk the path of growth side by side, guided by the clarity of prajñā. Parenting is often imagined as a one-way street. Parents teach, and children learn. But with prajñā, a deeper truth emerges. Parenting is not a lecture, it is a mirror. It is a shared path of awakening, where both parent and child grow together. Every difficulty with our child reflects something within us. When a child is impatient, we may suddenly see our own tendency to rush. When a child is fearful, we may recognize the fears we never resolved in ourselves. When a teenager resists authority, It may reflect our own struggle with control. Instead of blaming the child, Prajñā invites us to pause and ask, what is this moment revealing in me? Seen this way, parenting is not just about correcting behavior. It becomes a spiritual practice. Each moment with our child, whether joyful or painful, is an opportunity to deepen wisdom. Their mistakes are not only lessons for them, they are invitations for us to practice patience, compassion, and presence. With Prajñā, we see that children learn not only from our words, but from our way of being. When we breathe before reacting, they learn patience. When we soften judgment into understanding, they learn kindness. When we remain steady in difficulty, they discover resilience. Parents and children are not walking two separate roads. They are threads woven into the same fabric, shaping and transforming one another. Each conflict becomes a doorway to greater intimacy. Each ordinary day becomes sacred, a chance to awaken side by side. Through this lens, parenting is no longer a burden to carry alone. It is a shared journey of love and awakening, where both hearts expand together. Parents often, without realizing it, place labels on their children. We say, "You are naughty," "You are good," "You are smart," "You are slow." These words may seem harmless in the moment, but they carry great weight. A child's sense of identity is still soft and forming, like wet clay. The labels we place can shape how they see themselves and even how they believe their future will unfold. When a child constantly hears, "You are lazy," they begin to internalize that message. Instead of seeing laziness as a temporary state, they start to believe, "I am lazy. This is who I am." Over time, that belief can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, limiting their willingness to try, to stretch, to change. Even seemingly positive labels, like "you are the clever one," carry hidden burdens. The child may feel pressure to maintain that image. They may fear mistakes, avoid challenges, and live in constant anxiety of disappointing others. Prajñā offers us a different vision. It reminds us of impermanence, that nothing is fixed, and everything is in a state of change. What we call naughty today may simply be a burst of energy that tomorrow becomes creativity. What we call shy today may evolve into thoughtfulness and depth. Even what we call talented is not a guarantee. Without the right conditions of encouragement, it may fade. In the light of Prajñā, we see that no single word can capture the fullness of a child's being. This wisdom also reminds us of interdependence. A child's behavior does not arise in isolation. When a child acts restless, perhaps the home is stressful. When a child lies, perhaps they fear punishment more than they value honesty. When a child excels, it is not only their achievement. It is the fruit of teachers, parents, friends, and countless supportive conditions. So how do we apply Prajñā in practice? First, by pausing before we speak. When we feel the urge to say, "You are always," or "You never," we take a breath. Instead of defining the child's identity, we describe the behavior as something temporary. By shifting language from fixed labels to present observations, we open the door for change. Second, we practice seeing each interaction as new. Yesterday's tantrum does not define today. Yesterday's failure does not define tomorrow. Each moment is alive, fresh, and full of potential. This openness gives children the freedom to grow beyond the roles they were unconsciously assigned. Finally, we embody presence. Beyond words, children feel the energy of how we see them. If we hold them in the light of spaciousness, they feel free to expand. If we hold them tightly in labels, they shrink to fit the box we create. With Prajñā, we look into their eyes and see not the naughty one or the smart one, but a living, breathing being in constant transformation. Parenting with openness means refusing to let the past imprison the future. As we release labels from our children, we also release labels from ourselves. And here, another truth gently appears. Parenting is not only about the names we give or the lessons we teach. It is also about the invisible field that surrounds every moment we share, the energy that passes between parent and child. This leads us to a deeper understanding. Parenting is not only about shaping behavior or teaching lessons. At its deepest level, it is an exchange of energy. Every interaction with our child, every look, every word, every silence, is an invisible transmission that flows from us into them. When we speak with anger, the vibration of anger does not disappear. Even if our child forgets the words, they remember the feeling. Their small body contracts. Their energy field tightens. They may learn to obey for the moment, but inside, fear and resistance are quietly planted. When we worry constantly, that worry is also felt. Children may not understand the details, but they absorb the vibration of insecurity. They grow restless, anxious, unsure of themselves, not because of what was said, but because of the energy they received. But the opposite is also true. When we breathe calmly, the child feels that calm. When we smile gently, they relax. When we listen without judgment, they receive the precious gift of being seen. Energy moves without words. It travels through tone of voice, through body language, through the silent field between two hearts. A simple hug, given with full presence, nourishes more deeply than 100 lectures. This is why the quality of our being matters more than the quantity of our advice. Our presence carries a vibration, and that vibration shapes the atmosphere in which our child grows. Prajñā allows us to recognize this invisible exchange. It shows us that parenting is not just what we do, but who we are while we are doing it. Our inner state is constantly teaching. A child learns patience when they see us pause before reacting. They learn kindness when they feel us soften instead of judge. They learn resilience when they sense our steadiness in the middle of chaos. Every breath we take, every choice we make, is silently mirrored by the child beside us. We are always teaching, whether we intend to or not. This is both a responsibility and a gift. A reminder that our practice of presence is the greatest lesson we can ever give. Parenting with Prajñā, then, is not about perfection. It is about awareness. Each time we choose patience instead of anger, each time we replace fear with openness, we shift the energy field we share with our child. And in that shared field, transformation becomes possible. Growth arises naturally. Love flows effortlessly. Wisdom shines like light moving freely between two hearts. Parenting is not just the raising of a child. It is the meeting of two energies, shaping, teaching, and awakening together. When we hold this truth, We no longer see parenting as a burden, but as a sacred exchange of energy and love, a path where both parent and child are continually transformed. Parenting with Prajñā is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Every parent will feel fear, doubt, and frustration at times. That is part of the journey. But with Prajñā, we learn to see more clearly. We see that our children are not problems to fix, but beings to love. We see that every challenge carries within it a seed of growth, for them and for us. Your child does not need a flawless parent. They need a parent who is willing to breathe, to pause, and to return again and again to presence. A parent who can say, "I may not have all the answers, but I am here with you." That presence is already a gift greater than any formula or technique. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this message touched your heart, I invite you to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Free You. Together, we can nurture a community of wisdom, presence, and compassion. One family, one breath, one moment at a time.